a year ago now with Helman and Betsy and crew. So we're happy to see this going. And Ted, thanks for stepping up and being the chair. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Next, we have John Tabor.
Hi, I'm John Tabor with Tabor Design Build. I'm Vice President of our Pro chapter. And we work in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And I'd like to thank you, Ted, for setting us up.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Debbie did all the hard work.
Well, it's a team effort, but thank you. Catherine Lunsford.
My name is Catherine Lunsford. I am the supervisor in the Fairfax County zoning permit section. We're down on the second floor of the counter.
Great. And I'll come back to you, Betsy. We have Anthony. You're on mute. And talking to someone maybe. There you go.
Hello, my name is Anthony McMahon. I am the plan review supervisor for residential and fast track plan review. You've probably dealt with me if you had a plan review issue at some point in time. I'm usually very accessible through email and phone.
Great. Thank you. How about Tim B? And you're on mute.
Still muted.
Yeah. The little microphone, just click on it.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear
There
me?
you go. Yes.
Yeah. My name is Tim Barlow. I'm with Holloway Construction. We do outdoor living projects in Loudon, Fairfax, and Prince William. And I'm trying to just learn more about Fairfax's system, about the permitting and stuff. So,
Great. Welcome. We have Joshua.
Hello, I'm Joshua Burton with Foster Remodeling. We do most stuff in Northern Virginia.
All right. And Tamar.
Yep. Tamara with Carter Mark Design Build, and I've also been involved with the DC conversations, which have been fantastic. So excited to learn more.
Thank you. We have just a Steve on mute.
Hi, good afternoon. Steve Kendrick. I am the manager of permit services for Fairfax County.
Great. And we have Nicole.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nicole McMahon. I am one of the permit application supervisors for Fairfax County.
All right. Thank you. Let me see here. Kay Shore.
Hi, yeah, I'm a designer at Case Design. My name is Kevin Shore.
So I thought that might be. Hi, Kevin.
That's me. Hi, how you doing?
Good to see you or hear you. Shira.
Hi, my name is Shira Rosenthal. I'm a project architect at Anthony Wilder Design Build based out of Cabin John, Maryland.
Great. Welcome. Katie Peters.
Hi there, I'm Katie Peters with Bowers Design Build out of McLean, Virginia.
All right. Emily.
My name is Emily Bickle. I'm with Synergy Design and Construction in Reston.
All right. Welcome. Lisa Burke.
Hi, I'm Lisa Burke. This is Matthew Burke. We're owners of MW Burke Incorporated in Loudoun County.
Welcome. Let's see here. Lucas. Are you there, Lucas? All right. We'll come back to Lucas. Alan Larson.
Yeah. Hi, Debbie. I'm Al Larson, and I'm with Ipsun Solar, and we do residential and commercial solar projects in DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia.
All right. We have Charles Harrison.
I'm Charles Harrison. I'm a designer with Ryco Kitchen and Bath based out of Falls Church, Virginia.
Hi, Charles. And hey. Chris's iPhone. Who's Chris?
Chris Labs. I'm with Daniel's Design and Remodeling. I'm our production manager.
All right. And we have Angela. She's just sort of being on here to, in case I need her.
Hi, everybody. Good to see so many faces. Betsy and Helman, thank you guys for helping us with this.
All right. I think that's everyone. I'm Debbie Kane. I am the Director of Events and Sponsorships for Pro Mid-Atlantic and will be your liaison, staff liaison for these meetings going forward. So if you ever need anything, just let me know. And I will turn it over to Betsy or Ted, whoever wants to get started.
So I don't know, Debbie. I'm Betsy Smith. I am the branch manager, chief lead of our customer and technical support center. And I oversee the site application center, bonds and agreements, facilitation, and our permitting and application center. So I think have kind of been nominated as the Fairfax liaison to this group, and I will be the one responsible to do any of the Fairfax staff herding of cats, as I like to call it, as we go through some of these meetings and as we define topics and move forward. There was a agenda. Was that distributed to the group? Or
I think it was mainly for the
internal?
Internally.
Okay. So as everyone on the call has said, the purpose of these meetings really is for Fairfax County to provide a vehicle to answer some general permit processing questions, some hiccups you might run into in terms of process, not individual permits. Individual permits, we ask that you continue to reach out to our staff in the ways that you have been since the start of the pandemic. Email is our first choice. And then beyond that, we do have a tech on the phones every day. We have our customer experience team answering general process and my permit is stuck type questions. And we do have, as you heard from Anthony, our building division folks available by email, phone to review specific permit questions. At this point, I don't really have any new Fairfax updates. I think we had met with a good part of this group. Back to what Debbie and I started discussing earlier. I don't want to think about how long ago it was, but probably about 6 months ago. And we just sort of did a general overview of maybe it was closer to a year of our transition into the out of the 2 permit types for many of the permits that this group applies for and how this was going to procedurally help you guys out. So today we decided that after some discussions with the leadership group in Pro, that maybe one of the first project types to sort of attack was that general, how do I start my permit? How do I go from FIDO into ProjectDox? How do I check some statuses? And then to talk most specifically as that relates to addition.
My name is Officer Overton. I'm just giving you my contact information. I am new to the area.
Everyone, please mute.
Or anything like that, an emergency, just give me a phone call. That's it.
For the whole
It's
shop.
for the whole plaza. I'm just dropping by.
I can mute everybody.
Yeah, no, we wish you could.
Charles, you're the only one that's not
It's something that's very serious. Somebody.
Looks like Harrison.
Something like they got to put out.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
So I am going to turn it over to really Nicole's going to kick it off. And then I think from a pure permit processing perspective, and then she'll talk a little bit about the site reviews, and then Catherine will talk a little bit about the zoning reviews, some of the hiccups, you know, the most often seen challenges that would preclude first review approvals, and then Anthony will do the same for the actual building plan review. So Nicole, I don't know, do you have the capability in Zoom to share your screen?
I believe so, yes.
There you go.
Success.
All right. Perfect. Off to a good start. Again, for those that missed it earlier, my name is Nicole McMahon. I'm one of the permit supervisors in the Permit Application Center. Slides that we're going to go through today are kind of general applying for the permits and just some kind of quick good to know things to successfully get through that first process with Fairfax County, which is the pre-screen and applying for a permit. First screen, just a good place to always kind of start and have bookmarked is going to be our fairfaxcounty.gov/FIDO screen. Right here is the link at the bottom of it. It's probably the easiest website to give people, just because from a building permit perspective, it kind of gives you all the links in one great place. So you've got your apply for a permit. Not the most intuitive software. This apply for a permit is what you would click on so that you can then sign in to your account if needed. You have the links right here also for project docs when you get to that step. All right, so first thing we're going over is how to apply for a residential addition, an attached residential addition in Fairfax County. First place you'll start is once you sign into your account, you go to residential permit types right here. Choose the drop down to select the residential addition type. Then you'll hit apply. The next step will be asking for the address. Go ahead and get that information typed in there. It'll ask you if you're going to have a contractor listed. Some of those general requirements. Most of our FIDO process has not changed at all throughout the years. The change that really took effect in November is kind of this next slide right here, where we now have sub-permit types and potential work types. So again, for residential addition, so your screen porches, your sunrooms, your sub-permit type here is going to be residential addition. So that's what we're showing here. Next step, this screen has been the same in FIDO, but it does ask for a little bit more information as far as if it's a 2-story, single story, what kind of the base is. Also talking about your water and sewer service. To kick off the plan submission process, you have to pay at least the filing fee. This filing fee does not exceed our permit minimum, and it's the entire permit fee. So you would select the permit that you want to apply for. You would hit pay. You'll go through the prompts that brings you to the third-party software to pay. And then once you do all of that, you go back into your status of applied permits, and you'll be able to see that that permit has updated. It will show that it has been paid. And then if you've paid enough to allow the link to happen, which again is either the filing fee or the entire fee if it doesn't exceed the permit minimum, you'll have the link right here to start that workflow in ProjectDox. If you don't click that link, it does not start to let you into ProjectDox for that particular permit to submit plans. This is your ProjectDox login page. The email is the email that's associated with your FIDO account. Password is a different password than FIDO. It is not the same one, so something to just keep in mind. One other information, if you ever feel like you're getting some weird views or you're not sure that everything's set up correctly, down here, there's some links about configuring everything correctly. If you're a new user, haven't done that, this is a good one to look at. If you need it, this is on our YouTube channel for the Before You Begin. This process starts to pick up at 2 minutes and 46 seconds if you want to take a look at that. Just something to keep in mind. Accepting the task. Once you've created the permit, once you've paid your fee, you click the link to start to be able to submit plans. Next thing you have to do is actually accept your task to upload your plans to get it to the county. At this point, everything is still with the applicant. Fairfax County isn't aware that anything's going on at this point, for all intents and purposes. So you have your permit number. When you're in your task PF, the first task that you should see is always your applicant upload task. This should be common to most of you guys. Quick question though, for everyone here. When you guys are pulling it up, is your screens looking kind of nice and clear like this? Or are you seeing something more like this?
It's clear.
Okay, awesome. For those that are maybe hesitant to say anything, and this is kind of what you guys are seeing when you pull up, you're not able to see all of the numbers, everything kind of looks smushed together. There are a lot of windows in ProjectDox. If you ever need to, these gears right here, you can hide them. That's how you can kind of get to a kind of more clear view. So for some of you guys that are maybe you're using smaller computer screens, or we talked to you guys about looking at the permit numbers and you're like, I don't see a full permit number. That could be something to just keep in mind. That gear up there, just hit it, you can hide things, and you can save your settings, and then you can always reset your settings if you feel like you hid something that was important. But when you click this permit number here, one thing to keep in mind is that you have not accepted the task by clicking the permit number. Until you click the actual task, the task hasn't been collected by you. You can still upload drawings, but you cannot actually submit the task to the county yet. So always make sure that you hit the upload task, you get that window, and then that you can complete that task. Common pre-screen mistakes that we're seeing that are kind of your top most common reasons that we're seeing some not make it through the first submission. Files not uploaded individually. Our requirement is that they have to be individual files. They don't meet the naming convention, whether that's that you've got a lot of different like characters in there, whether it's you've exceeded 25 character limits. The sort feature that is defaulted with ProjectDox is just not that great. And if you don't kind of follow that naming convention we put on our website, it will cause the files to come to us in a lot of different order. So that's why we created that. That's why we asked that you guys follow that. And that's why we enforce it at pre-screen. Site related. Yep.
Can I ask a question on that too? Because I think we've all maybe experienced it. When you say upload individually, we have oftentimes, 15-page plan, like actual plans, and you want those you want to broken out into each page into its own file. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So anything that's the actual architectural drawings, those need to be individual files for each sheet. So if it's a 15-page architectural set, I need all 15 sheets uploaded individually. Once you start to get to engineering specs or data sheets, things like that, those can go in the documents folder and those do not need to be separated. But the actual architectural drawings, those do need to be separated.
So it's just architectural drawings. The other, okay, great.
Yeah, in the building workflow. So remember that we do have separate workflows. So don't take this principle to the site workflow. They have individual requirements too, but so the building workflow, that is correct.
Okay.
Next common one is when a site related document is required and one is not uploaded. Happening less often, but definitely one that we do still see. Other kind of big one on most of our residential stuff is missing the code year, the designer, and the address for the project. Make sure that's on the page. Even if you don't end up having a cover page, it still needs to be listed. It is not just implied the code year, you do need to have it listed on your plans. And that's true always, but even more specifically true right now while we're still in that hybrid year with Virginia of the 2015 or 18 being allowed. So please make sure that that is definitely on there. And the drawings not being to scale.
Can I interrupt with a question? The code year, do you want that on every sheet of the plan set or just on the cover sheet or the first sheet if there is one?
It can be on just the first sheet.
Okay.
It just needs to be, clearly identified that it's the code year. Don't put a number 15 in the lower right-hand corner. We may not gather that that was the code year, but as long as it's clear, cover page is fine, or the first page is fine.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The other piece of the pre-screen that we do, and some of this information here is outlined in the minimum submission requirements for certain projects. Our building division, Anthony, he'll get more into this But these links here, the garages and the additions and the decks, there's a section in there that talks about the minimum submission requirements, talks about the minimum scale, talks about the fact that you must have the code year listed. So there are certain things from that requirement that we enforce at pre-screen, and then there's certain ones that are reviewed and enforced during the plan review process. But as far as where we get that information, a lot of it is also contained in these links that are available for you guys as well. One other thing that I would just like to reiterate, is you have to complete the task. If you don't complete the task, even if you upload your files, we never receive it, which means it doesn't get in line to be pre-screened. So we'd like to just always kind of reiterate that, make sure even if you upload that you go back in, you complete the task, make sure it's completed. It's a two-step process as shown here. We have about 6 months ago, we had automated emails that come out at 7, 14, and 21 days if you forget to complete this. But obviously 7 days can be a long time. So try to remember to finish that task to avoid any delays. If you're not sure if you completed the task, again, checking the plan status that is available to you guys 24/7, checking the workflow routing slip. You will go back into ProjectDox. You will go to projects, and then you may have to go to all projects right here and search your permit number right here. The reason for that is it may not show, well, if you completed the task, it will not show under the tasks PF tab any longer, because that means you have completed it. So you'll have to search it here. So just something to keep in mind. And that'll be true for all of your permits that you've ever created within ProjectDox with Fairfax County. Any questions on any of that?
Trying to find my unmute button. So no more questions for Nicole. You feel pretty confident that you've begun to master that portion of the process?
There are no questions in the chat, so FYI.
Okay, so that being said, we can move on and let Catherine either share her screen. She has a couple of points to bring up. I can share the slide, Catherine, as well, and then she'll talk about the zoning review.
Can you share the screen? I thought we were putting it all into one, and so I apologize.
Yeah, I did too. I wasn't really exactly sure how we were going to do this, so no problem. Let me just get to it. And make sure I get the right one. Nope, that's not. Are you seeing scheduling made easy, or are you seeing zoning permit review?
Zoning permit review.
Okay, good.
Okay, so like I said, my name is Catherine Lunsford. I'm the supervisor in the zoning permit section. And Betsy asked me to talk about like the big things that we're looking for, kind of the 10,000 foot view. So when a permit comes in, one of the first things we want to know is, are there proffers on the property? Because if there are proffers, those conditions may supersede, that's what's going to govern what we're looking at. And that could be, proffered yards. It could be, you can't have this kind of structure. It could be any number of things. So that's the first thing. When you're looking at what something's zoned, if it's a P district, that means there are probably proffers. And if you have questions, please just call us and we're happy to tell you if there are any restrictions. We've gotten really flexible with plats, but there are a couple things we have to have. It has to be signed and sealed by a licensed professional. It has to scale. And if it doesn't scale, like when 1 to 20, I put in 1 to 20, if I can calibrate it in the system, then we'll absolutely take it. But sometimes we get them that are so far off, we can't even calibrate them. And in that case, we have to send it back. The next thing we're looking at, we're going to pull the aerial of the property. Sometimes we get plats that, just because it's old doesn't mean you can't use it, but it has to reflect what's on the property. And, if stuff has been permitted and built, then it has to be reflected, as approved in the permit. You can't just draw everything on there and say, oh, this is the stuff that's there, because the plat is really like a historic chronology of what's been added to the property and how it's been permitted. So, for example, we had one today that came in that they've got an existing sun screen porch. They want to add a deck to it. They got a permit for the screen porch, but they don't have a plat reflecting that. We ended up being able to find one that they could use, but the argument was, why can't we just draw it on there? And it's because we have to have that progression. Typically, you can use your plat for one project and then you got to get a new one, but we can absolutely make exceptions to that. And when something's really clean, it's about, can we tell what's on the property clearly? And can we confirm it meets the ordinance clearly? And when that's the case, we're more than happy to be flexible about that. The next thing is the description of work, drawings, and whatever's drawn on the plat, do they all match? Sometimes we get things that are super off. Sometimes it's just a little bit, and we can put an admin review and ask, we'll call and talk to you and get PAC to work with us on that. But it's really important that all of those things match up so that it's clear that we can confirm between the three of what you're doing. Another thing that I call people all the time, what's the elevation? Because when we're dealing with a deck, that whatever encroachment you get is contingent on how tall, the ground to the part you walk on, what's the elevation. So if that information is already provided to us in your description of work, it's super helpful because we don't have to call and we can just keep moving through the permit. And that goes to the allowable encroachment. And then the next thing is, the other big thing is, does it meet the setbacks? And if it's a screen porch, it's considered an addition, it has to meet the whole setback. If it's a deck, it may get an encroachment. And that just depends. So those are really like the big things we're looking at. Does it meet the ordinance? Yes or no? So I know that was just a quick overview, but I'm happy to answer the questions you have.
Do you have any kind of pre-screening meeting available? I know both Montgomery County and DC offer, and you have to pay a fee for it to go over your project with a zoning reviewer and find out what the requirements are and make sure that you've got it before you ever submit your plans. As you're working on preparing them, this meeting would take place.
So we don't have an official, down here in permitting, we don't have an official system for that. Two things. I'm in the office all day, every day, as are the technicians, and there's a technician on the line that is happy. I'll put our number in the chat, but you can always get a live technician from 8 to 4. If you need a Teams meeting or whatever, I do them all the time with people. I'm more than happy. We would rather you come to us on the front end and let's work this out than have to ping pong it back and forth, because that's not good for anybody. Now, if there's something about the use and there's a question of whether or not you can even do it in the zoning district, the other thing you can do, and there's no charge for this, through the Plus system, you can request a determination, which goes upstairs to ordinance administration. You submit it online through Plus, and then a planner will actually give you a written determination of, I understand this is what you want to do, this is what the ordinance allows, and it's kind of a governing document for what you want to do. So we don't have an official way to do a meeting, but we're always here to help. And please call me. That's why I'm here.
Catherine, are they still charging $500 for that on the 7th floor?
$500. I'm talking about a use determination, which there's no charge for that.
Really? I thought you had to go, use determination, not a setback determination. Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Okay.
Catherine, we have another question from Tamar. Can you review existing non-conforming conditions and what can be built?
So we can review existing non-conforming conditions. Anything that's new is going to have to meet the ordinance. If it's non-conforming and it was permitted, well, there are a couple different things. Like, let's say that you pulled a permit to build a screen porch and it was supposed to be 12 feet off the side and it's 11.8. And now you're coming in for something else and we catch this nonconformity. If it's less than 10% and it meets the ordinance, meaning it was done in good faith, so you pull the permit, I can do what's called an administrative reduction and make that compliant for that particular thing. But anything new has to meet the ordinance. The other thing is if things are non-conforming and they, were permitted or have been taxed for 15 years or more, so we have to go through tax administration and get a tax history. If that structure has been taxed, it can become vested and stay, but you can't do anything, you can't enlarge it, you can't exacerbate the nonconformity. So there are ways for those things to stay. It just depends on the site. And then in terms of what can be built, sure. I mean, we can always look at it and see, what you can do. But like I said, anything new is going to have to meet the ordinance, or you're going to have to do a special permit, or whatever mechanism you need to have a nonconformity.
Catherine, are you still requiring wall checks if a project is within a couple feet of the setback?
So that came up this morning about a wall check. Are you talking about a setback certification?
Yeah, normally it used to be if you were within 2 feet of the setback limit, you had to then do wall checks.
No, so we've not required wall checks. We've required setback certifications to confirm if it was super close. We do not require those in general anymore. Sometimes if we have something that's super close and we're very concerned about it, we can require one, but I can tell you in 2 years, I think I've done it once. So,
thank you.
And it's usually because there's some other issue, like a neighbor is very angry and we have to make sure that it's got to be like right on the line and super egregious, and so that we can confirm it meets the ordinance, but it's very rare.
And you would pre-qual or pre-ask that as a requirement, correct?
Oh yeah. If we well, two things. Yes, if we thought there was going to be a problem, then yes, we would. The only other way, and actually I can think of one other situation now. We had someone who came in to do new single family dwelling on existing foundation and literally ripped the entire house down and built an entire new house. So it was done off a plat. It really should have been done off a grading plan. There were a lot of things involved in it. And because we couldn't, so the way to get them to be able to proceed was we said, okay, you got to do a setback certification so that we can confirm you meet the setbacks. But like I said, these are rare and peculiar situations.
Sure. Okay. Anything else?
Any other questions? Nothing in the chat.
So Anthony can next speak to us really briefly about some of the plan review kind of hiccups that he most consistently sees. So once you get through pre-screen and while the zoning review is going on and the site review is going on, Anthony will be assigning it to his staff depending on the type of residential addition. And so he can present to you a few of his stumbling blocks that he most consistently sees to preclude that same day, first time through approvals, not day, but first time through. And then you can ask him any questions about that portion of the process.
Thanks, Betsy. So I don't have anything prepared to show. One of the main things that I would like, there's a couple of things. One, I want to really push the fact that we have details for some simple projects, and we'd like to see them utilized if at all possible. We get a lot of deck permits, and I'm assuming this group does a lot of deck building. If you can utilize our deck detail, that takes the load off of everyone, including you.
Because I told him I can also send it to one of the fabricators.
Charles, please mute your phone or computer, please. Thank you.
And one thing that maybe I would like some feedback from this group on is, if you aren't using the deck detail, is there a reason that it won't work for you? That's a pretty standard document. The ADA also has a deck detail that's approvable called the DCA 6. Both documents pretty much mirror each other. And I'd like some feedback from this group on that, or any of the other details that we have. Our retaining wall detail, got a comment, special beams still qualify for standard deck detail. If you want to use a paralam or something like that, or if you want to use a steel beam and columns, we can make that work along with the deck detail, but we're going to have to review it. There's going to have to be a review done. So you could still do the rest of the deck per the deck detail. That way you don't have to draw all that other stuff. And then we would review just the special parts of the special beam, special columns. And we do see that occasionally. Let's say you have a patio under the deck and you don't want a center column, or a center column. That way you can span that entire span without having a center column in there. A lot of customers really like that. Sometimes we see decks built on top of retaining walls and things like that. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. We have to assess some of those types of things individually, but generally the deck detail is going to work for most of those projects.
But David would like to raise his hand. He made a comment that you wanted comments on the DC6, and most of the people here work in multiple jurisdictions, and I know Montgomery County has its deck guide and DC has a deck guide. Isn't the purpose of DC6 to replace all those and kind of standardize them? I would much rather have one deck guide that is uniform across all the jurisdictions.
It is, and we accept the DCA 6. Actually, if you look on the back page, our seal's on it.
Yeah, you were they just did a Simpson training program on it. They made note of Fairfax's contribution to the program.
Yeah, and that was our former building official, Mr. Brian Foley, was instrumental in really helping to develop some of that stuff, along with all the brace wall stuff that we've got now and the practical method for doing braced wall lines. So let's go into some small projects since we're talking about wall bracing.
Actually, Anthony,
just,
I'm sorry,
yes, sir.
Before you do, can I just ask a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
Because some of your feedback, I know I speak for us, and I'm assuming several others on this call, that we do like multiple faceted projects. It might be an addition with a deck, or, so if we're already drawing the certain aspects of the project, it's kind of simple just to keep going, and it makes the vision nice for the clients. But is there a way to incorporate, maybe to simplify the process, where we have things drawn out, but then label that we're going to follow those rules?
Absolutely. So zoning needs to see where that deck's going to be and what the shape and size of it's going to be. Site as well, they need to determine how much land disturbance is going to happen when that structure is built. So they need enough information to do that. But then you could put that for the building part of it, that's going to be built per the Fairfax County deck detail. And that way that saves you all the time giving us all the details. And one of the things about the deck detail is the connection details and those things that are really time consuming to reproduce are already done for you, and that they will pass code if they're done properly. some of the exceptions are going to be manufactured handrails and things like that, where they have a post that lags down through the deck. Those connections, typically, if they're not, they don't have any code compliance report that shows a connection that works, which a lot of the manufacturers don't provide, even if they have an ES report or a code compliance report for the guardrail or the handrail. They don't give you that connection detail that you need to properly connect that to the deck. And part of it is they don't know what framing is underneath their product, and they don't want to sign off on it. So I know all of you probably had one of these situations where the guardrail connection needed to be reviewed after the deck permit was issued. And when we get those, we try to get them in and out as fast as we can. Those are the kind of things you're already out there building. We don't want to hold you up. So we want to get them through the process as quick as we can.
Can I make a comment about preparing drawings? And this is partly in response to Ted, your question. When I do a set of drawings, my intended focus of doing the drawings is to the people that are going to be building it, my employees, because I'm a design build contractor. But that's why I'm doing a set of plans, is to show them how to build it. And Fairfax and all the other jurisdictions are looking at them and they want information, but I just want to let you guys know you're second place here, because I'm trying to build a set of plans that my employees can work from. So I would put all those deck framing details on the drawing so that my guys knew what they were. And you know, when you do make a mistake, let's say you leave your deck post bracket off of the detail, wouldn't the field inspectors tell them in the field, put a whatever kind of bracket here? And or does that come back to plan review?
So the answer to that is maybe. My preferred method of handling that is, can the inspector assess that situation in the field? If I came out there, absolutely, I would handle it in the field. I was an inspector. I don't do inspections anymore for the most part. If I'm coming out to do an inspection, there's something bad happening. But
that's what the inspectors are looking for when they do come out there, right?
Well, their direction is, if they're not able to, if there's a computation that needs to be done, or it's something complicated that they're not able to do in the field, they're to send it back.
Okay, that's an important understanding that, you know, I think this group will find valuable.
The middle,
you know, when an inspector can make a decision and when it needs to come back. So when you have to do a computation, so there's some kind of structural calculation involved.
Correct. The middle of that is, I don't mind at all having some kind of meeting or assessment through this type of setting, or through email to look at something like that, versus having to send it back through the plan review process, maybe, so that we can make a more educated decision on certain things.
Yeah. Can I just ask a question of the group? Does anyone have any particular circumstance that, you know, is worth talking about here? Something that, you know, a field inspector might have identified that's come back and become a problem that you had to go back to plan review for? Any takers? Anybody paying attention out there? This is a test question. Hello.
I've never had that, David.
I actually was told by part of our team recently, we had an addition we built with a gas fireplace in it, and apparently the all of this infrastructure was in place. We had all the inspectors come out. Well, somebody that came out to inspect the gas, then all of a sudden said, wait a minute, you have to redo the framing inspection for the project and couldn't explain why. So that was, we felt, kind of an unusual request coming in.
Okay. So yeah, anytime you run up against something like that, don't feel like you're bugging me or one of the inspection supervisors. There's several guys over there, and there's always one on call each day. Give us a call and let us look into it for you. That's what we're here for. A lot of times we've got a lot of new inspectors, and sometimes they're not comfortable making decisions, or they need more time to make a decision. They want to come back and ask somebody more experienced what they should do. So that's some of what's going on.
Okay.
And you know, they have to educate themselves, and it takes time. We've had a vast turnover in the last couple of years, where we've got a lot of new staff, and some of them are real strong in certain areas. Like, let's say we have an electrician come on board. They may be strong with electrical and be comfortable with it, but something to do with framing, they have no idea. So they may have to consult somebody else. And the way they do that, communicate, and the method with which they do it may be different. And we try to make that stuff more consistent so that you can expect or know what to expect out of us. And we're working on that stuff constantly. But don't ever feel like you can't approach us, or we're going to be aggravated, or we don't have time to talk about something. That's what we're here to do.
Okay.
Can I congratulate you on that? I mean, that's the kind of help that we all need, and we really are seeing it across all the jurisdictions. There's they realize customer service is focused on, we have the same customer, and that's the person whose house we're working on. So we need to work together, and the more we can talk to people. I know in Montgomery County, I've got James Sackett on my speed dial, and he's the in charge of all the inspectors. So when somebody says something like that, boy, he'd be on the phone with me right away before the guy ever left the property.
Good.
Chris has a question. Chris, go ahead.
I wanted to echo that what was just said. Actually, Catherine has been really helpful to me on a couple of occasions, and we found that when we can get through to somebody, it's been really helpful. My question is similar to what we've been talking about. We've had a couple of times where we've had drawings clearly approved by the county, and when the inspectors come out, they don't want to accept it the way it's drawn, and it kind of throws things into a tizzy. And I'm wondering what the best thing for us to do when that happens.
So I need to know about those things. I would prefer that, and I'm gonna throw my information in the chat. I would like to get an email from anybody that this occurs, that happens to, so I can address it directly with the inspector and directly with the plan reviewer to make things more cohesive. And probably if there's an issue with a set of plans that we missed something, I'm going to put that back on the reviewer that missed it to work with you, work with the inspector to get it straightened out. That doesn't mean that just because we missed something, we won't need to go back and fix something. That just means that we're all human. We all make mistakes sometimes. Sometimes we miss things. So the inspector is the final catch-all at the end of the process. If they find something in the field, and it may be something that we honestly missed at plan review, and to fix those things, I need to know about them so that I can address them on my end. So anytime you run up against something like that, I'd like to look into it for you. I may not be able to make it any better, because it may be something that we actually need to do, but I want to make it better going forward so that we don't have those issues in the future.
Well, I appreciate that. I will definitely be sending you an email because we got one really current right now that I'd like to throw your way. So thank you.
I know as a designer that I try to put everything on a set of plans that I can, and I'm sure the plan reviewers are looking at it the same way. They want to catch everything that they can, but the code is this thick. So, you know, trying to make sure you get every little last thing in there is probably not going to happen on a regular basis. Yeah, there's the books. So in the end, it is what's in that book. So we're doing our best to document it in the plans we submit. They're doing the best they can to review them. And the inspector in the field is the last one because he really sees it all coming together.
You know, a lot of times when I'm reviewing something, you'll find I may call you out of the blue and go, hey, here's what I see. It's not real clear. I can add this note to the plan and we can clear this up. And that's how I like to handle those kind of things if I can. If it's a sealed drawing, that limits what I can do as far as adding notes and things to it. The designer needs to go back and correct some things maybe, but from my point of view, the whole point of this is to take information from the design phase, send it out into the field so the inspector and the contractor or the workers of the contractor know how to put this thing together so that it's code compliant. That's the end result. Everything's safe and we can all go home at the end of the day. So I need to bow out.
I have one more question. I don't know if it's for Anthony.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay. It's because Katie put it in the chat a few minutes ago. Is there a way for us to be able to see what the anticipated duration will be of building review? For example, we have a project in review for 7 days without the task being accepted. I don't know if that's for you or someone else.
So I manage that. That's one big part of what I do. Right now, our volume for the last probably 4 or 5 months, it's been higher than ever. What happens is after pre-screen, the reviews are forwarded over to a big bucket, a queue, and the reviewers pull them out of that queue in order by date. So what you're seeing is it's essentially sitting on a virtual shelf waiting to be reviewed. So that wait time is it sitting on that shelf. Once you see a reviewer pick it up, it should be done that day unless there's some kind of issue with the plan that they need to address with somebody else.
There's no way for us to see where we are within that larger queue. I guess that's the question is, you know, if we're number 20, great. If we're number 150,
there's really no mechanism unless you want to contact me or one of the reviewers.
Sure.
And we can look into the queue and see where you're at.
Okay.
Do you have any sense of what your backlog is? You know, I can tell you that both, DC does an excellent job of tracking the metrics and they can tell you exactly what their backlog is in multiple things. And it's about 2 weeks, and Montgomery County is running about the same thing right now. But do you have any sense of what the backlog is?
The backlog for what we call plan class 4s, which are new houses and large additions, is about 2 weeks. We're reviewing things from 1028 right now. And then for the smaller projects, it looks like the average date is the 9th. Hang on, this is out of order. It's mixed up.
Weren't you folks putting those on the website, the anticipated lead times for each department for a while?
We still are. but they've been skewed because of the volume that we've had, and we've had some staffing challenges lately. We're in the process of hiring multiple reviewers right now, and we should be getting back on track. We want to keep the small projects down to 3 to 5 days for review, and the houses at 10 days to 2 weeks is our goal.
Okay.
If I could flex some muscle as being the chairman of the Government Affairs Committee, I mean, this is something that would be so easy is if you can keep us informed so that when we submit a set of plans and we tell our customer, oh, they're telling us it's going to be 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and you get the bad news over in the beginning, it's a whole lot easier. So I know we're all under challenges, but if we have accurate information that we can share with our customers, everybody's a lot cooler about it.
Absolutely, and I understand that. One of the challenges is the pre-screen part is it's broken down into 3 pieces really. The pre-screen part and getting, depending upon how long that takes, that's really not part of the plan review. Yeah. And then because that's a different group doing that, remember.
Yeah, and that's the same thing in Montgomery County.
Right, and then it comes to the plan review group, and that's what we consider the plan review time when it enters that queue. And then on the back end, there's that QA piece that permits does to make sure we didn't miss something or we didn't miss a review. Site got to see it, zoning got to see it, fire marshal got to see it. And then
so Anthony, you said you had to go. Who is on this call from that end of it, the pre-screening? Is that Betsy? Or who can speak to that part of it? And Anthony, you've been really helpful, and you said you had to go, and we're running over. So Ted, this is where you're supposed to say,
wrap it up.
But we're into a little bit of a good discussion. If we could, get some kind of follow-up on the pre-screen.
So what kind of pre-screen follow-up are you looking for?
Well, just, how, once we pay our fee, how long is it going to be before it gets to plan review? How long is that clerk going to be pre-screening and doing the, the pre-stuff?
So
I think that I can respond to that, Betsy.
Thanks.
This is Steve Kendrick, manager of permit services. Pre-screen review times are next business day. Now, if everything comes in and everything's good, and we don't have to send it back and ask you to re-upload something for a naming convention, or you're missing a code year, or maybe you didn't upload the plat or whatever, then we're going to send it back to you. But pre-screens are next business day.
I will
and
add,
for
go ahead.
For permits, once they get through the plan review process, when they come back to us for applications like decks and sunrooms and screen porches, things that already have their fees paid, all of their reviews approved, those are issued the same day. So one of the reasons why maybe you have an addition and you didn't pay all your fees, and we're going to send it to this step called batch stamp, and you're going to get an email from ProjectDox and say, hey, you need to pay all your fees, and then you have to email us. Those are like the larger residential projects, like big additions, houses, things like that. Decks, basements, screen porches, where you're paying all that fee up front. It gets past building review or whatever the last review is, it's issued same day. So hopefully that provides a little bit of clarity on that.
The only thing I was going to add is that similar to Anthony's group, we are experiencing very high volumes and significant staff turnover. So there are occasions where a handful of pre-screens could go to 2 business days. So don't be alarmed if it's not next business day. I would not, be looking for it's lost, there's a problem in the system, or there's a technology challenge until you sort of get past 2 business days out, just to save But if you do see it exceeding 2 business days in pre-screen, reach out to our customer experience team, the 703-222-0801, and have your permit number ready. And they will either assist you in where it's stuck in the system, or they'll get you in touch with a permit tech or somebody in the permit tech group who can work with our IT to find the technology.
So is that the point it gets turned over to Anthony?
Yeah, so once the pre-screen passes, the permit technician that did the review on the pre-screen immediately goes in and assigns whatever reviews are required for that particular permit that you're submitting for. So if you're submitting a screen porch, for example, and you pass your pre-screen, that we within 30 seconds go in and assign the reviews and put you into those queues for Anthony's group, zoning, site, maybe health department if it's required. So that happens, that pre-screen pass and that review assignment for residential happens at the same moment, essentially. So you go into Anthony's queue the second you pass pre-screen.
And if you, for some reason, where you get passed and you're into Anthony, or there's some issue that gets kicked back, do you go back to the bottom of the line, or do you, I guess more for Anthony, if you get assigned a reviewer in your department and it gets kicked back because there's a question, and fill in the blank, does that project go back to the bottom of the list on the virtual shelf?
So which review? Because it's 2 different distinct reviews. The pre-screen is done by the permit technician staff that work for me. And then Anthony's the actual plan review portion that's handled by his plan reviewer staff.
Well, it sounds like, Steve, with the things that come into under your purview, you guys are handling it same day, worst case next day, right? If that's what I just heard. So those are pretty quick turnaround. And then we've had one just here recently where we're missing the designer's name on it. So, okay, we added that, put it back. So those are kind of small and quick, but it's more about when there's a question, I guess it's under Anthony's department. If there's something that your reviewer has a question on and it gets kicked back, do we go back to the bottom of that virtual pile?
So I think Anthony left the call, and that's a difficult question for me to answer because I don't know how he manages. Oh, you're still there. All right, cool. Then Anthony, I'll let you take that one.
So our intention for resubmissions is to do those more quickly than initial reviews. If you've just got, several items that we've already reviewed the plan and you've resubmitted, and we can address those quickly. Our intention is to do those more quickly than the initial reviews. Right now, that's not happening the way it should be, and that's my fault. And I need to do some work in that realm to get those projects out quicker than they're getting out right now.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, Catherine, we didn't have a discussion about backlogs when you were speaking. Where is zoning right now in terms of backlog?
So we're actually running like 2 to 3 days. I mean, and we have been for several months. Like, now, let me qualify that. If we get a mega, 10-bedroom, super complicated new single-family dwelling or a major commercial project, it may take us 3 days. But like decks and additions and that kind of stuff, we're literally turning them around next business day, if not same business day, and we have been for a while.
Does anyone know about site? What site's backlog is at this point?
I can speak to, so part of what we do in permit services is the reviews for structures that are under 2,500 that don't require a site-related plan. So I also manage that. We were running 2 to 3 days, very similar to zoning. We were kind of lockstep with them until about last Tuesday, and we lost the person who was handling that review. So we are in the process, similarly to Anthony, trying to fill that position as quickly as possible. And I believe that has gone up to about 6 days right now on the site side. So where the ad's going to go out, I believe next Saturday. We're going to manage as best we can in the meantime, but that's where we're at right now. It's about 6 business days. And we are looking internally to try to find some assistance with that, but I can't guarantee that we're going to find anything. We might just be running at that for a while.
If you can put those anticipated backlogs up on your website and keep them updated, that would be a great help to all of us.
All right, that's next.
So, I think that's a pretty good wrap up for kind of the general overview of how the processes work, specifically related to residential additions. What I would like to hear is, we're going to do these meetings quarterly, with the next meeting being scheduled for this time on February 9th. And then, of course, we'll do May, I guess that's August, and then November again. I'd love to, through Debbie or in discussion, probably not today because we are running about 15 minutes late, to hear what topics you would like us to present at future meetings. And if there's other county staff or other county agencies that you'd like me to loop in to one or all of the future discussions to help you and help us, with this collaboration effort.
I can add one thing that I think could be a uniform across all jurisdictions is, and Michael Brown at DCRA is the one, I'll give credit to this, is what goes on the cover sheet is so important to answering so many of these questions, writing an accurate project description of what you're doing so that all the people reviewing it and building it understand it. Referencing the codes that are in play, the zoning information that needs to be there is different for each jurisdiction. But, one of the things that we're working on with DCRA is what does the cover sheet look like for our projects? And it would be a great help to all of us if it was a uniform cover sheet that, everybody accepted. And it really is the same information everybody wants to see. So that's a goal that we've got already.
I would think too, unless anybody else wants to chime in or throw something in the chat box, that you can either email Debbie, Angela, or myself, and we'll make sure that we can get those over to you, Betsy, and your team. And we can hash out some. I'm assuming we're going to get multiple, but we can figure out which order we'd like to do them in too. So
yeah, because again, like we did today, with a topic, we were able to share some of what we see from our perspective to help you all give us a better product. But this is really for us to hear from you what stumbling blocks you're running into and how the sharing of information can help you all. So the more information you give us on what you want to hear, I think the more productive these get-togethers and discussions will be.
Agree.
Thank you. We've been a little heavy-handed in some of the questioning there on the time frame and things like that.
Yeah.
But it really helps us to prepare our customers. We're all going through the same thing. I've got subcontractors that are taking 2 months to schedule siding on a house. So, taking 5 or 6 days, that's okay in the scheme of things.
Yeah. Agree. Well, then I guess for that, the next date is already on the books. I think those are going to be getting emails out, but it's going to mark your calendars. It's February 9th of next year at 3 o'clock. It's going to be our consistent time. So thank you everybody for being part of the call. And, all those at Fairfax County, thank you for the great discussion and being prepared with slideshows. And that was wonderful.
Yes, thank you all very much. We'll see you in February, but hear from you before.
And just a commercial, next Thursday at 2 p.m. we've got the DCRA call. And they're going to be introducing their new permit wizard and showing everyone how that works. And they're really excited because it eliminates ProjectDox.
Wow.
Nice.
I think. I don't know. I gotta go to the call and see. But you
All right,
guys
well-
at Fairfax are welcome to join in if you want. And I know you've been on some.
Go
of the-
ahead and send an invite and we'll see if we can make it. I'd love to see their permit wizard because we're trying to put ours together as well.
All right, I'll send that to you.
To see how.
Debbie, you take care of that.
I will.
Yeah.
And before we hang up, Chris, did you have Chris's iPhone? Did you have your hand up because you wanted to ask a question or?
I think it's been up, but did you
Yeah,
have
may have
another?
left it on.
Okay.
I
saying
didn't know
hi.
I had to. I didn't know how to put it down. I was over here. Ooh, 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 pick me. Sorry.
Saying
Your
hi,
arm is
bye.
tired now.
Well, thank you all so much, and we'll get everything out to you, and we'll get some inquiries and suggestions, and we'll get that out to you as well.
And thank you, Helman. We see Helman joined us.
Yes, thanks
Yes.
so much for joining us.
Yeah, sorry I was late, but thank you all, and we'll keep the conversation so much. Thank you for your feedback.